Hi everyone. I have this worksheet. Now I've just kind of drawn these a little bigger and to work through. And this is number one is a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And our rules on that are leg times square root of 2 equals hypotenuse. Well, here's the 90-degree angle, and it goes straight to the hypotenuse. So that's 9. X is one of the legs. Y is the other leg. But I have an equation here that I can just solve. X times the square root of 2. Leg times square root of 2 equals hypotenuse. X times the square root of 2 equals 9. If I divide both sides by the square root of 2, then X is going to equal 9 times square root of 2. 9 over the square root of 2. And if you'll recall, a simplified expression does not have a radical in the denominator. So I got 9 radical 2, and these are buddies. They can come out. There's nothing left underwear. So 9 radical 2 over 2. Y is also going to be 9 radical 2 over 2. So there's number one. Number two, this is a 30, 60, 90. And this is the short leg. And if you recall, the short leg, I'll just use SL times 2 equals the hypotenuse. And the short leg is 25. If I multiply it by 2, I will get the hypotenuse, which is y. And that is 50. All right, let's see if I can get through this or not. Y is 50. X, on the other hand, is the long leg. Now the long leg times the square root of 3, the short leg times the square root of 3 is equal to the long leg. And the short leg again is 25. Square root of 3. Long leg is x, so I have my x and the y, and that's all we asked for on that. Number 3. You can kind of ignore this part of the rectangle, and if you do, you've got a 30, 60, 90. And if you'll recall, the short leg, which is x, times 2 equals the hypotenuse of 26. Short leg times 2 equals the hypotenuse. So 2x is equal to 26. Divide by 2. X is equal to 13. Now, what you could do on all these, if this is the short leg x, this side's 2x, this side is x times the square root of 3. That's always going to happen in that. Now y, if I know x is 13, is going to equal 13 times the square root of 3. So there's number 3. Number 4, we have a square, and the diagonal of a square is going to bisect that square. So x is going to be 45. So we're talking about a 45, 45, 90. And I forgot to write down the side. Let me grab a worksheet. It is 28. As you know, but I didn't have that in front of me. I forgot to write down that this was 28. Okay, that's the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is equal to the leg, which is y, times the square root of 2. That goes with 45. Square root of 2 goes with 45, 45, 90. So if I divide by the square root of 2 on both sides. I've got 28 divided by the square root of 2. I'm going to multiply this by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. And I have, remember, these two can be buddied up. I didn't put it under the same one. Let me do that right now. 28 radical 2 over 2, and that is 14. 28 divided by 2 is 14 radical 2. So y is equal to 14 radical 2. On number 5. Okay, we got an equilateral triangle is what it looks like right here. But when you cut an equilateral in half, cut half there, that's 30 degrees. And 3.5 is the short leg. So the long leg is 3.5 times the square root of 3. And so x is equal to 3.5 radical 3. Y is going to equal 3.5 times 2. So y will equal 7. And then number 6, there's an altitude drawn, it appears, yes. That's a 90-degree angle. 11 is this side. It's an altitude drawn in a 45, 45, 90. And this gets bisected, so that's actually 45 here and 45 here. There's 45 degrees angles everywhere. The x is one of the legs. The 11 is a hypotenuse. So x times the square root of 2 is equal to the hypotenuse of 11. If I'm looking just exclusively at that one right there. Now, x is, divide by the square root of 2, x is, now if I give them a buddy, down there and multiply by square root of 2 up here, I got 11 radical 2 over 2. Now that's what x is. Okay, well if that's 45 and that's 45, then that is equal to that and that. So y is just 2 of these sides. And y is equal to 2 times 11 radical 2 over 2. The 2's cancel out, so y is just 11 times the square root of 2. There's y, and there is x. Okay, next. Number 7. Now you have the paper in front of you, and we've just got to solve whatever they're asking us to solve for here. This is the general drawing. So what I'd like to do is just put in some information. If A is 4 radical 3, so A is equal to 4 radical 3, find B and C. Well, what I'd like for you to look at is this overall rectangle here. And if you think that's a rectangle, think again, that's a triangle. Look at this overall triangle. Ignore this altitude right now. What you've got here is this side is opposite the 30-degree angle. It is the short leg. B is the long leg. So if you remember, short leg, 4 radical 3 times square root of 3 is equal to the long leg, which is B. Now 4 radical 3 times radical 3, these guys are buddies. That's the same as 4 times 3. So B is 12. Now C, this is the short leg. C is the hypotenuse of this big triangle. And the hypotenuse is equal to C. and that's 2 times the short leg. So I got B is 12, and I've got C is 8 times the square root of 3. So take a look at that, get that written down what you need. I'm going to erase it right now. You can back up if you didn't get it all written down. And I didn't grab an eraser. Number 9. If A is 4, find CD, which is this side right here. What am I looking at? That's number 9. Let's look at number 8 first. If X is 3 radical 3, find A and find CD. Okay. Now, if you just focus on this triangle right here, you're going to have a 30, 60, 90, this little triangle here. 3 radical 3 is the short side. The short side times, and CD is the long leg. Short side times the square root of 3 is equal to the long leg. I'm using the square root of 3. And then 3 times square root of 3 times square root of 3, which is 3, equals CD, which is 9. CD is 9. Now A is the hypotenuse of this little triangle here. And 2 times the short leg, 3 radical 3, is the hypotenuse, which in this problem is A. And 2 times 3 is 6, so 6 radical 3 is A. So that's number 8. I'm going to erase this one more time, and we're going to do number 9. And number 9, if A is 4, find CD, there you go. B, where's B? We need to find that one. And Y. All right, well here's how we'll go about this. First of all, if A is 4, I want to look at this triangle DBC, the little one, it is the hypotenuse. Okay, the short leg is X. All right, made me jump. I've got just a little bit of time to finish this one up. The short leg is X. So, to find that short leg, I'm going to take X times 2 to equal 4. So X is 2. I got the short leg. And the reason I wanted the short leg is so that I could find the long leg. The short leg, 2, times the square root of 3 is equal to the long leg, which is DC. So 2 radical 3 is what DC is. And so this is 2 radical 3. Now in context of this triangle here, this is also a 30, 60, 90. DAC is a 30, 60, 90. And what I know is 2 radical 3 of this one is the short leg because it's opposite the 30-degree angle. B is the hypotenuse. Well, the hypotenuse is 2 times the short leg, which in ADC is 2 radical 3. So B is equal to 4 radical 3. Okay, so I got DC, I got B, and what else did they want? They wanted Y. Well, Y is the long leg of DAC. DAC, B was the hypotenuse, I already used that. Now the long leg is Y, and it's equal to the short leg, which is 2 radical 3 times, and then radical 3 is what we always multiply the short leg by to get the long leg. So Y is equal to 2, and radical 3 times radical 3 is 3. So Y is equal to 6. All right, I'm going to post a second video just to look at 10, 11, 12, and 13 a little bit. I'll see you in a minute.